Well, you said evangelize, and that reminds me of another one that we have on our list here, which is SoilWarrior, which actually identifies farmer evangelists. Like, how many ag companies out there have literal, like, people who say, hey, here's our 500 farmer evangelists, and the farmer's like, yep, I'm an evangelist for it. Like, that never happens, right? But SoilWarrior, so they were from episode 219, August of 2020. We had both a farmer evangelist and their head of sales at the same time talking about what they're doing for their strip tillage equipment. And they always come to mind for me as a category designer because that's a market opportunity. I mean, strip tillage has been growing year on year, and I think it's fair to say that there's no argument that if you want to do strip tillage right, most people will point you to a SoilWarrior.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit biased. I live 15 minutes north of those guys. But no, I think that SoilWarrior, what they've done is they've done an effective job of evangelizing. They've also taken, you look at, like, in the 1980s, strip tilling was a big fad, right? It came up and then it went back down. And so the continual increase of it, I think, is the belief system that they've built around, that they've fundamentally built around strip tilling. It's not necessarily just whether the implement or the piece of equipment or the actual action itself. It's what you believe about the world that is causing you to use that implement, that is causing you to use that practice and to change that system, right? They talk about it as a farming system in that episode. They look at it as the whole farming system. It's not necessarily just one implement. It's not necessarily just one tool in the toolbox. They think about it as a retooling of your entire system. And I think that, like, the belief system, what we think is good for the soil. Again, it's back to the ideology side of things. It's back to forcing a choice and not a comparison. Because in a lot of cases, we're looking at, equipment. Oh, is this better? Is this better? Is this better? It's not that. That's not what we want to do. We want to take a look and say, what is the choice I'm going to make about my farm? And so when we're trying to sell to farmers, when we're trying to create evangelists, we also have to be comfortable with creating people who hate what we do, right? So if you look at all the best-selling books on Amazon, for example, all the 5-star rated books also have 1 stars, right? Like, they've got their 1-star reviews. And they've got people who hate what they do. And so real, true, creative category design, I'll say, creates animosity just as much as it creates true fans. And so you have to be comfortable with those two things. And so, there are people who really don't like strip tilling, right? Like, you've got your, the folks who, everybody they want the black soil. They want it fully tilled.
Or you got the opposite, which is the no-till purists,
Or the no-till purists. So you create what is important for people to realize about what SoilWarrior has done is they've defined a segment, and they've become comfortable not trying to sell to everybody. They sell to the true believers and they shun the non-believers. Right? And in so doing, their category is continuing to grow. If they were to try to go after everybody, if they were to try to give kind of a mushy, you can do what you want, but here's what we do. If they were to do that, they would lose their distinctive edge and they would lose the opportunity for continued growth, because there are people who will start out really hating what they do and then will come around and be like, my yields are going down. New management takes over the farm. Maybe next generation takes over and says, well, we want to try to do something different here. We want to buy into that soil health story that they're telling, while also doing it in Minnesota, where the ground's frozen 7 months out of the year. And so doing that in an effective way, I think what they've done is created an effect. It's actually interesting. In the interview that they did with you, they said it's better equipment and better technology, and that's undeniably true. They're comparing themselves to the 1980s movement, if you will. And it's undeniably true that the equipment has improved. However, I would say that it's not really that the equipment has improved so much as the whole system has improved, right? So obviously the equipment's better than it was in the 1980s, but that alone would not be creating the evangelists and the evangelist farmers that SoilWarrior is currently creating. It's the ecosystem that they've created around it. It's the belief system. What do we believe about the world? How do we believe in stewarding the land, but also making sure that we're maintaining our yields here in Minnesota? And so I think that nuanced message hits the ear right of certain farmers and has allowed them to create real, true believers.
Yeah, and I think there's a element there of uncompromising on it, meaning like, if you're going to do this, you need to do it right. And the reason why people are against it is because they're not doing it right. And I think it gets back to the people like us, people who believe this, people like us believe what we believe. Which
people
way?
like us do things like this.
Yes, people like us do things
exactly
like this.
right.
Like, people like us really see the value in investing in this. And I love your quote there, forcing a choice, not a comparison. That really resonated with me. I also know you regularly end some of your posts with create fans, not followers. And you were just talking about kind of fans and evangelism. What do you mean by that? Why not followers? What's the difference there?
Followers are, it's okay. So fans is short for fanatics, obviously, right? And so it's kind of based off of the idea of Kevin Kelly's article in Wired from, a while back now, that where he shared a post called 1,000 True Fans. And 1,000 true fans are the people who are going to buy whatever it is that you're selling. They're going to buy that, and they do that based on the fact that it's you selling it. They do that based on the fact you're not selling a commodity at that point. You're not competing in the marketplace. You're not buying Google ads to inform these people. And so the problem with followers is that they're kind of malleable, right? And in the way that they're going to leave you the minute that something goes wrong or something doesn't work. It's a fragile way to run your business. And so, to steal a line from Nassim Taleb, run an anti-fragile business with true fans. That's the encouragement that I have. And in order to do that, that forces you to make a choice and to make your customers make a choice, right? So it's scary because you're picking a segment of the market and you're explicitly rejecting another segment of the market and saying, here, I made this for you. Again, that's another Seth Godin quote. But it's, I made this for you is fundamentally different than we have this on offer. We have this available to anybody. It's the distinct nature of knowing who you're for and what it is that you're trying to help them do.